All right, so let's dive in. My mission in life is to disrupt the needless destruction of human potential. And I kind of referred to it in the previous conversation if you're part of it. I want people to go home with a sense of pride and joy because somebody's waiting for you. And if your job sucks the joy out of your soul, you have nothing left for the people who are waiting for you. And that's not the kind of life any of us want to live. So I won't bore you with my background. Let's dive in. Would anyone be willing to be curious and open about the subject today? If you are, raise your hands. Yes, I've got 3 people. All right, 4. All right. Uh, I like it if it's interactive. I find the sound of my voice to be extremely boring. I already know what's in my head. I don't know what's in your head. That's why I came here. Would anyone be willing to shout out answers if I ask questions? One person. All right, 2 people. It depends on the question. All right, it depends. What's that? That's fine. And I want to create a psychologically safe space because you have wisdom that nobody else has to offer. So if you share that wisdom, it could create a spark that helps someone else. Uh, Look for the 2% truth. This is a technique I learned from the world of systems coaching. A lot of times when someone shares their perspective, even if my initial reaction is, man, that's BS, if I look deeper, sometimes there's a little bit of truth. There's a kernel of truth. So my request is, when I'm saying something or someone else in the room is saying something, see if there is a 2% truth in what they're saying that can help you with whatever challenges you're facing in life. And it's okay to disagree, but let's try to disagree without being disagreeable. Okay? And maybe let's have some fun. So I'm going to try and inject some humor so I don't put you to sleep. And I'm giving you permission and requesting you to have some fun as well. All right, so let's dive in. Let me ask you a question. Uh, for those who have, how many of you have used a software product? Most people in the room? Something like an app or some software on desktop. How many of you are part of a company right now that is building a software product? Some of you, yeah. Use any stance that you want, whether it is the stance of someone who is a user of software or someone who is in a company that builds software, and answer this question. What percentage of features in a product create absolutely no value, like it's complete waste, it's garbage? Anyone? At least 50%. Others? Which which app do you use the most? Which is your favorite app? Software. What's that? Mac. Okay. Okay. Yeah. Very good. Okay. Chrome browsers like Chrome and Edge, insurance rate calculator. Who else? WhatsApp. All right. Now tell me, choose whatever app you love the most, and then what percentage of features in those apps are a headache? Drive you crazy. Don't add any value. 75% of them. Maybe. If you have a great app, maybe less. Not so great app that you are forced to use, probably higher. Let me ask you the second question. If we use generative AI, there's so much hype around generative AI. If we use generative AI, by what percentage can generative AI increase the amount of features in a product? What's your intuition telling you? Or what's the hype telling you? Yeah. Yeah. If you were to put a percentage of how much better it is or how much more accurate it is than without Gen AI, what would you say? 75%. Others, how many are interested in integrating generative AI into software product development? Anybody in this room? Okay, one person. So that was a setup. What if an app has got 50% waste and the company starts using generative AI and it creates a 75% increase in the number of features, but unfortunately, it just increases the wasteful features. So if you look at this, imagine these are 10 different companies. One has got 10% waste, 20%, 30, and so on. This one has got 100%. You use generative AI, and generative AI doesn't touch the valuable features. These companies would deliver 100 features, let's say a year. They use Gen AI. Some of them are maybe delivering 200 features, depending on what multiplier you use. But if you use 50%, now this company started delivering 150 maybe features. But unfortunately, what they did was they started delivering more waste. So their waste probably went up, I don't know what the math is, but 66%, right? So this is the risk of generative AI. If you blindly use generative AI, there is a risk that instead of increasing the value, you'll increase the garbage in your application. I have a question. Output and outcomes are not the same. In our industry, in the tech industry, one metric that we often use to measure team productivity is something known as velocity. How many widgets are you creating? And we conflate or confuse output with outcomes. Let me give you an example. If you were working in BlackBerry and the team started creating 1,000 BlackBerries per week instead of 100 BlackBerries, that'd be more output, but that doesn't mean it's more outcomes because nobody's buying BlackBerries, right? So output is not equal to outcomes. The question is, why would generative AI increase waste? What comes up for you if you were to ask this question? Because we are here to talk about risk management. Toby? Yeah. Yeah. So generative AI, one of my colleagues said, is like a hyper enthusiastic intern. It's going to go in whichever direction it wants, and it's very confident. So generative AI is very confident, and sometimes it's very confidently wrong. And it can travel really far, really fast. It has no context and it has no guardrails. So that could be one reason. If you blindly trust generative AI, it could take you in the wrong direction, faster, better, cheaper. So I want to share my perspective on the risks. The first is efficiency-based thinking, and we discussed this if you attended my fireside chat yesterday. Efficiency is, I want to create more and more BlackBerries. I want to create more output because if I create more output, I'll be more successful. So having an efficiency-based mindset could cause you to harness generative AI to drive you into the ditch faster, better, cheaper. The second is confidentiality. I have a very high degree of distrust of tech companies. I've spent 26 years in tech companies. I've been on the inside. It's possible that you are divulging your sensitive information, your proprietary information, or maybe sensitive information of your customers and users. If you're entering it into a large language model, there is a risk that large language model can actually expose your proprietary information or misuse it. So confidentiality is a second risk that can increase waste. The third is bias. There is a lot of bias on the internet, and it reflects the bias that we have as human beings. Has anyone used a large language model and got an answer that was just plain wrong? Anyone had that experience? Did you? Yeah, Michael? Would anyone like to briefly share what was that? Yeah. Yeah. Yes. Yes. Yeah. 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 Correct. So if it's complete bullshit, you can probably, your bullshit detector will say, yeah, this is bullshit. I can't trust it. But if it is 80% true, but 20% bullshit, you'll be like, yeah, it passes my bullshit detector. Yeah, I think this is good. Let me try it. And that 20% is going to destroy you because it will take you a lot of time because it is so cleverly concealed. And the source might be, there's a lot of crap on the internet. There is no truth filter on the internet. Anybody can publish anything. And if there are collective systemic biases, that's what the large language model is feeding itself on. So it's like the Google search results, right? You may not want to blindly trust the first link that pops up on your Google search results because it may be great, but it may also be biased, okay? So the next one is anchoring. A lot of times when I'm coaching teams, in the agile world, we intentionally, when we do exercises, we give people quiet time to share their answers either on a mural or a Miro or on a Teams chat so that we don't anchor each other. Does anyone know what anchoring means? What is anchoring? Bias. Yeah, so you ask a question and yeah, you tend to align. Has that ever happened to you that somebody asks a question and then one person answers and then everybody else says, yeah, yeah, that's fine. Has that happened to anyone? What's that? Yeah. Some why do you think it happens? What could be the reason why we get anchored? Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it's related maybe to the previous talk, right? Not my problem, or I don't want to, and especially if it's a dominant voice, and that voice has a habit of ridiculing anybody who contradicts that voice. People will be like, I'm not sure this is the right direction, but man, I don't want this person to make fun of me in front of everyone. Or this person is the brother-in-law of the boss. Boss is doing creating the promotion list or bonus list or the reduction in force list. I don't want to get onto the shit list of the boss, so let me not mess around. So anchoring could be many reasons. The next risk is commoditized. I saw yesterday on LinkedIn that there is some product where you can enter the URL of a competitor's product and it will reverse engineer the website. So if everybody in the world has access to pretty much the same large language models, and the large language models are more or less comparable, then everybody can build the same damn product. So what would differentiate you? So it's possible that if you blindly trust generative AI in product development and do everything that the generative AI is telling you, you'll create a commodity. It's like potatoes on a grocery store. I mean, who cares? You just go, you want potatoes, you just get a grab of potatoes and you get back, right? It's not like a branded, differentiated item. Generative AI can create a lot of ideas in a very short period of time. I'm seeing this right now with a client where you give generative AI a one sentence overview of the feature that you want to build, and it can give you 10 minutes of information. And what's happening is people are getting paralyzed by cognitive overload. That they ask this hyper enthusiastic intern a simple question, and this intern gave them like the Encyclopedia Britannica. Now the solution became worse than the problem because it's paralyzing. Oh my God, what do I do with so much information? So that's a risk of generative AI. And the last is it can make us robots. A tool is a great slave but a terrible master. If generative AI becomes the master of our companies, we can be like robots following the leader and doing whatever the leader suggests. So I have a question. As you look at this list, which do you think might be the biggest risk for your company? And what might be the impact? Maybe one sentence. The biggest risk for my company is this, and how it will impact my company if it materializes is blah. Or you can also say this is all nonsense, none of this, I have a better risk. Yeah, please go ahead. Hmm. Yeah, yeah, yeah. You have to have the human factor. You cannot replace human beings. So if you notice that people are being robotic in some domain that is as nuanced as insurance, uh, you will start seeing warning signs. Mhm. Yeah, mhm. Yeah, yeah. That's a risk. The muscles atrophy if you don't use them. So if I'm always getting somebody to carry my groceries and anything heavy, then my arms are going to get weaker and weaker. And tomorrow, if there is a crisis when I need to lift something, I never developed that muscle. It atrophied. My daughter is in the seventh grade and she has a math teacher. And many times the math teacher will tell the class, I'm paraphrasing, but this lesson I'm teaching you is stupid. You will never use it in life. But the reason it's helpful is it will teach you the skill of learning, which will be transferable to other problems that are waiting for you in your life. So that is a risk. The act of composing an email may be trivial, but it is helping you develop a muscle of creative thinking and problem solving that may come handy when you face an adversity that generative AI cannot solve. Right? That's a great point. So let me talk about some risk management. How do you manage the risk of an efficiency based mindset when you use generative AI? Ask your team, we are not using generative AI to create more widgets, but we are trying to create more outcomes. So we want to be more effective. And effectiveness is defined as, are we making life easier for our customers, our users, and our partners? So it's possible that you deliver 1,000 Blackberries and you don't make life easy for them. But it's possible you give them 10 Samsung phones or iPhones and you are more effective. So change the mindset from efficiency to effectiveness. To protect your company from a lawsuit or protect your customers and users who are trusting you with sensitive personal information and also your proprietary trade practices, be very careful about the legal contracts of the companies, generative AI companies you're doing business with. Make sure that legally they are promising you that they are not going to misuse your data, and also have policies in place and enforcement about what kind of information your employees or your team members can put into the large language model. The best vaccination for bias is a diverse team. And I know that today, in today's environment, diversity is a bad word, but the best bullshit detector is a diverse team who has been exposed to a lot of bullshit in their life. So when you have a diverse team who have overcome different levels of adversity, if generative AI like ChatGPT gives something which is partial bullshit. Complete bullshit, everybody gets it, like you were saying, right? Complete truth, you don't have a problem. The problem is that 80% truth, 20% bullshit. If you have a diverse team, someone is going to say, man, this smells really fishy. Let me not blindly trust it. Let's go and get a second opinion or a third opinion, right? That's the best vaccine for bullshit. There are a couple of techniques you can use for anchoring. This is what I'm using in my clients. Instead of asking ChatGPT to solve a problem, I ask the team to solve the problem first and then ask them, now let's go ask ChatGPT or a generative AI product and see, is there anything that's more valuable that can upgrade what we came up with? So ChatGPT cannot bias or anchor the team. I want to introduce something. I want to talk about generative CI, community intelligence. I feel that AI combined with your community or team intelligence is greater than just AI. Nobody is smarter than your team. But if you use AI as a catalyst to unleash the awesomeness of your team, give them this hyper-enthusiastic, hyper-caffeinated intern, your team can get better. But just remember, don't blindly trust the intern. The intern is just an intern. Your team has got probably decades of wisdom and experience. Please don't devalue your team's expertise by giving the reins to a hyper-caffeinated intern, right? If you feel that your team is getting paralyzed and overwhelmed by the volume of suggestions, then one possibility is be laser focused. There is a technique from the Franklin Covey 4 disciplines of execution called the wildly important goal. There is a short video, 5 or 7 minute video on YouTube. You don't have to pay money, it's a free video. If this resonates with you, just look up that video, Franklin Covey 4 disciplines of execution. If you are outcome focused and ChatGPT is giving you an encyclopedia Britannica of information, you can curtail it. You can guide this hyper-caffeinated intern by saying, give me the top 3 suggestions to achieve this measurable goal, so that you don't get overwhelmed by the solution. The solution cannot be worse than the problem. And the last is a technique from the world of agile software development and Scrum. Instead of robotically and blindly implementing everything that your generative AI model tells you, be empirical and data driven. If you have metrics, use metrics to figure out what changes recommended by generative AI are creating measurable value and what are not. And stop doing things which are wasteful. So these are my 7 suggestions. I have a question. Which of these risk management techniques do you feel might help your company, or which are you most curious about? And it's okay to say none of them, it's all garbage, because this could also be bullshit. It could be 20% bullshit and 80% truth, right? So you just never know. So what do you think? Yeah, one day without yeah, yeah, fresh perspective. Yeah, let's try to compose that email by ourselves and see what happens. What else? All right, we have 3 minutes. I want to be respectful of our next speakers. So closing thoughts. This is from Alice in Wonderland, butchered. Apologies to Lewis Carroll. If you don't know where you're going, any road will take you there. ChatGPT will take you there faster, better, cheaper. It'll drive you into the ditch. So please be careful. Also, no generative AI is more powerful than generative AI plus generative CI, community intelligence. If you disagree with me, you've got a hiring problem, inspiring problem, or firing problem. So provocative statement. So how can I help? I'm at the ResumeX booth. Some ways in which we help. We'll give you product playbooks to protect you against the harms or risks of generative AI. We have trained bots, but the most important is the human element. We've got facilitators who've spent 20 plus years making mistakes in product development, and we want to help you learn from our mistakes, okay? And we've got 5,000 plus freelancers in India who can help build your idea. So if you're interested, stop by the ResumeX booth, and please connect with me if anything I said was helpful. So those are my thoughts. 7 risks, 7 ways for risk management, and I hope it was useful. And if anything I said was useful, I'd love to connect with you. So did you want to take a picture of the previous one? Yeah. So if you want to take a picture, maybe 1 more minute, and then I want to leave space for our next speakers. Thank you so much for the gift of your time, your questions, and I hope that this was useful. Love to chat with you more if I can help. Thank you.